Just like that, new music, new attitude, new year. It is the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. I'm your host, Steve Casillo, and you are doing one of three things right now. You are either watching this live on Facebook, or you are watching the video on YouTube or LinkedIn, or you are listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. Whatever the case may be, thank you all for being here today. As we do every Wednesday, we bring in our trademark attorney. She is Susana Mahady. There she is live from Italy because she works while she's on vacation. And welcome back.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. And as we've been doing throughout the series, we do this every Wednesday. We've been talking about different aspects of trademark law. And trademark, today, we are talking about doing searches for potential names. So you've got an idea for a business and you're thinking, okay, now I want to come up with a catchy name for that business, or maybe a catchy slogan for that business. But is it already trademarked? And how do I go about choosing that potential name? So Susana, let's go ahead and just start. How does one find or go about finding a potential name?
Well, there are various ways to do that. But first, I want to clarify something. I do love what I do, and I do it on vacation. And I think it's nice sometimes to change the scenery and just kind of gives you a different perspective. But
Sure.
Anyway, I did want to leave that impression out there. But one of the things about trademarks is obviously the standard that is applied is really to determine whether there's a likelihood of confusion. The whole purpose is to avoid confusing the consumer about the source of the goods or the services. And so the test is really, is the trademark that you want to use confusingly similar to another one that's already registered? And are the goods and services similar, right? And I think we kind of touched upon this a little bit in an earlier episode where you can have two existing trademarks with the same name, but they may be different. For instance, I think we said Dove chocolates and Dove soap. I mean, a consumer is not going to confuse one with the other. But if you are using a name, for instance, you've got a name in your, an idea that's something that you want to use for your business. And, you can do one of two things. One is you can just do a standard search on the internet for common law use of that name. So you can just put in your name under Google and see what comes up.
Yeah.
You can also go on the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, and they have a search tool. It's called TESS. It's a database, and that stands for Trademark Electronic Search System. And you can actually check on that database to see if your name appears. There's various ways to search, but that search will only give you the results of federally applied for trademarks and registered trademarks. But there are a lot of caveats. I mean, it's definitely not conclusive if your name doesn't pop up that you are free to use that name, or that the name can be registered federally.
Okay. So can you give me an example then of maybe something that a person would search for that would be rejected?
Well, yeah. So, and the reason this topic, even I chose this topic today, is because I had a situation this week where someone called me, and she has a business that she's been she started about a year ago, and she's been using a particular name, which happens to be the initials of her name. It's 3 letters.
Okay.
and then the business type after it. And she secured the domain name and has been working under that name for the last few months, not quite the year yet, but a few months. And when she called me, I always try to check and see a little bit about the background of the business. So I Googled the name, and a big business came up, and I was like thinking that was her. I then went on the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website and I looked up the name and I noticed that it's a federally registered trademark. So I was a little confused as to why, she was interested in registering the name. So when I spoke with her, turns out that it's not her.
Oh
And
no.
they're in the same city, they're doing the exact same thing, and there's already somebody using that name.
All in the same city?
Mhm.
So it helps to do a little bit of research, a little bit of due diligence. And whether it's just bringing up Google or as you mentioned, Tess, and or find a good trademark attorney who can handle all this for you, because
Yeah.
I would assume there are other search avenues that an attorney has access to.
Right,
And
right. Remember that this is really just a preliminary search that you would be doing because you would really need to do or have someone do a comprehensive search before you do decide to register or submit an application for your trademark. And even then, there's no guarantee that something is not going to come up later after you've submitted your application because these applications are being filed daily. And so you can do a search today and tomorrow it might be different. And so it's really important that once you're ready to get something filed, an application filed, you have a comprehensive search done, and you file soon after. Otherwise, someone can beat you to the punch.
yeah, yeah. You mentioned that the bigger company had a federal trademark. I think we have covered this in the past, that there are different levels of trademark from federal. Is there a state trademark? Is there a county trademark?
No, so you can file within the state. So the state, like California, you can file a state registration for a trademark, but you are limited geographically just to the state. And so so there are some businesses that, say, well, we're only going to be providing services in San Diego. For instance, I have a clown business and I want to be a clown only in the city of San Diego for birthday parties.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to submit my, to register my trademark nationally because I don't plan to practice or provide services in another state. But most businesses that are on the internet and are dealing with interstate commerce, it's you really would be limited to the geographic area of where you are, and it's better to expand, especially if you plan to grow your business.
Exactly. And that if you have a business on the internet, you are literally, you're not just a local company anymore. Once you launch your website, you are now a national, if not an international business. And
Right, especially if you are selling items, on the internet and you're shipping, across state lines.
right. If let's, I don't know if you have a recap or if you want to add anything else in regard to doing searches for potential names. Anything else that you want to add before we wrap this up?
I think it's, if you ever are interested in just checking to see if there's a particular name that's already registered, you can just go and the website is uspto.gov/search trademarks. And that's how you can access the tests. And there are a lot of resources on the United States Patent and Trademark Office website for people to kind of search. You can look at logos, different designs. There's some information just for people that would like to do it themselves, but just be cautious that, for instance, if you want to put in Starbucks, let's say you want to open a coffee shop and you want to call it Starbucks with an extra S.
Yeah.
You put that name in, it doesn't come up as a registered trademark, but you think you're going to be able to get away with that name? Probably not.
Good advice. Good advice. Yeah. Nike with an extra E, or maybe with an extra K, or.
Yeah. It's not gonna fly.
If someone wanted to reach out for a little more information on trademark services, trademark law services, how do they get a hold of Susana Mahady?
They can find me through my website, which is mahadylaw.com. That's spelled MAHADYLAW.com. or you can send me a direct email at smahady@mahadylaw.com.
That's Susana Mahady, trademark law attorney for not only businesses. If you got something a consumer can use, contact Susana Mahady, MahadyLaw.com. Susana, ciao. We do this every Wednesday. When are you coming back to America?
The 27th.
All right, maybe a couple more weeks then from Italy. We do this again every Wednesday morning right here live on Facebook. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.